but they are more secure. They are more secure. Now here you just need to understand at this point. I want you to understand that Unix and Linux also there are different companies. So Unix and Linux are, let's say Sun is a huge big company. Sun is a huge big company, a $1 billion company, and they have their own Unix. Then there are many other. Linux is an open operating system. That's another. But Windows is different, and Unix and Linux is different. So if you want to have a folder to be accessed from a Linux server, for example, in your organization you have Windows servers. You have many Windows servers. Let's say 400 Windows servers, and this is server 2012. This is server 2012. This is 2008. So these are all Windows servers. But at the same time, this company also has few Unix servers as well. So there are some Unix servers. So let's say this is Unix, this is Linux, this is Unix. So they are, and Linux has many different types as well. But we don't need to but if you ever need them to use your folder, you must have services for NFS in between. So between Microsoft and Linux, this server for NFS works. So a server for NFS is only for the connection between Unix and Windows Server. If there are no Unix or Linux in your organization, you won't need this this service. Now the next one here is BranchCache. BranchCache. Now cache memory. Cache memory is mostly used as a temporary memory. It is cache. The word cache is mostly for a temporary. This is.
The actual cache is also temporary.
Yeah, that is for sure. Actually, we are just a connection between the actual cache. It comes from here and it flows somewhere else. So we are just the delivery party. We receive it, we give it to somebody else. So cache. Now, so this word is pronounced as cache. So whenever you're in these working for these organizations, the word you can maybe in a bracket for just pronunciation, just write the word cache. So if somebody is saying, oh, it's a branch cache, or it's a CPU cache memory, or it's a motherboard cache, so all these cache is just refers to a memory location. So cache refers to a memory. So here I'm going to say cache refers to a temporary memory. Now, what is branch cache? Branch cache is mostly used to cache the files and folders in a remote city. To cache files and folders in a remote city. Let's understand that for a second. Now, let's say we are all living in Mississauga. So this is Mississauga city. This is Mississauga. And in Mississauga, we have a file server. We have a file server. So we have a file server. And in Mississauga, we have, so what are we understanding? We are understanding what is a branch cache. What is a branch cache? We are understanding branch. So in order to understand branch cache, let's understand from this example. So the example is we are in Mississauga city, we have one file server, and there are, let's say, 300 users here, 300 users. And what we need to do is we need to share a folder with all these users. We need to share a folder with all these users. So we create a folder inside. So we created a folder called documents. And we shared this folder with all these users. So all of these users will be able to access the folder. Is that understandable? Is that not understandable?
Yes.
Are you sleeping with eyes open? Kader? Or are you trying to sleep with eyes open? Okay. No, you
Eyes
said.
open. I have glasses, that's why.
No, I know you're sleeping with eyes open.
Yeah?
You're trying to. Actually, you're trying to wake yourself up. Okay. But now you're awake. Okay. So let's understand that one more time. Let's understand. Guys, branch cache is a very simple concept. Branch cache is simply this. Branch cache is Branch cache.
It's a temporary.
It's a temporary memory. It's temporary memory. Now branch cache is let's look at it as a TD Bank example. So let's say TD headquarters. Where is it? It must be in downtown somewhere. Okay, TD Bank headquarters. And there they keep all of the money. So they're keeping all of the money. Okay. Now if they keep all of the money here, and throughout Toronto, throughout GTA, people need to go just to this branch to cash out their money, that won't be good. So instead of doing this, what they do is, in each small branch, they send a small chunk of that money. So they keep maybe 50,000 in a branch, or maybe 20,000 in a branch every day. Why? Because when people go to these branches, they can get their cash. This is known as branch cache. This is known as branch cache. So instead of keeping everything here, when people are going to other branches, they should have some money here, and they can. This is known as branch cache. I mean, if this would have not been the case, then you can do all your banking here, but when you need to get the money, you always need to go to this branch. This is known as a branch cache. Now, how does it apply to folders? So this is a folder, accessed by how many people?
300.
300 people. Now let's say I have another city that is called Windsor. And in Windsor, I have another 50 users. 50 users who need to access the same folder. So what they do is, whenever they access the folder, they always have to go over the WAN link and connect to Mississauga. So instead, what we do is, with branch cache option, whenever they access it first time, it will be cached, the folder will be cached automatically in user's machine. That's what it is. So the next time when user needs to use it, user is not going over WAN link, and it will be, the folder is sitting right here within the same branch.
So we create a file folder.
Sorry?
We create a folder. Folder and we
No, it will be automatically created. So as soon as the user accesses the document, it will be so whatever document user is accessing, a copy of that document will be stored in user's machine. So basically, user goes into the folder, and user, let's say in this folder there are 500 documents. User is not accessing 500 documents. User might be accessing one document or two documents. So both of the documents are copied and stored in the cache memory of user's computer. And when this user is accessing it, this branch cache option it automatically knows that the cache file that this guy is trying to access, it already exists in one of other computer within the same branch. So it accesses the file from here. So branch cache make it faster for user to access this folder. It is known as branch cache. If you understand this concept, a bank would keep some cache here so that users can go to the bank branch and they can access their money. Same thing, if a user is trying to access this document, this user doesn't have to go all the way to Mississauga. This user can access this folder right from here within the same branch. So this is why it is known as branch cache. It is now the folder exists in the branch instead of going all the way to Mississauga.
Yeah, but now most branches, especially the bank, are slowly closing their branch.
Yes, but in IT, we are opening more branches.
Yeah.
Actually, everything is going to cloud. So basically, nobody was using this option before, and nobody is using this option now. They won't use it in future. But this is from the book and for our concept. You're 100% right. This option is there, but it's not a famous option. I mean, I never saw it in use. But we must understand, what is a branch cache? A branch cache is a copy of a folder that is sitting in that branch. Now, there is just two more concepts, and then we'll do the lab of this. So here, file classification. File classification. Now, file classification. File classification, it refers to making files, classifying a file. So this option is to classify a file. For example, if I go here, actually first let's read through branch cache here. Just a quick read through branch cache. So branch cache says that branch cache is a technology that speeds up the file access to files hosted on a shared folder for client computer located in remote sites. So it will make for these users to access the files faster. Why? Because now the file is present in their own branch. So that is BranchCache. Next one is file classification. Now file classification is this. Let's go through a book definition and then. So file classification, it says, file classification enable you to attach a custom metadata of files classification are visible for a classification tab where you can configure multiple classification. Classification can be applied manually or automatically. For example, using FSRM, you can create classification property named confidential, or which can have a value of yes or no, and you can create a rule for such confidential property. And so classification is just a matter of setting up a file to be a confidential file, or maybe a secret file. If you classify a file to be a secret file, nobody should be able to access it. If you consider to be as a confidential file, so and then that file should not go outside your organization. It is just classification of file. I'm just saying that this file is now confidential. Confidential means if this is classified as confidential, then this should not be kept outside. It should be kept in locks. If it is sitting outside, then your security department might come to you and ask you, it's classified, why is it sitting on your table? So classification is just this, classifying files or important files. So this option is used to classify files based on different department or organization requirements. Examples are confidential, secret, top secret. What else can be a classification? Confidential, top secret, and there can be some other important, and so on. Last one is file auditing, file access auditing. File access auditing, this option is only used to audit the access of files. Used to audit file access. For example, who created a file, when file was created, who created a file when file was created, who deleted a folder, who changed permissions, etc. So file access auditing is just to see that who are making changes to the file, who accessed the file and who deleted the file, and so on. So in lesson number 1, we went through file screening, file quotas, and then we went to server for NFS. We went through branch cache, file classification, and file access auditing.
File access?
File access auditing. So used to audit file access, file or folder access, both. Or file or folder access. Now-
File and folder, they don't have the same meaning?
No, file is just one file, and folder can have many files inside. Folder, so if you look at this here, so if I go here, now this is a file, this one is a file, this is a file too, but where are the folders? So all of the yellow ones, go here, so these are all folders, and in folder you can have many files, but when you open a file, it is just a content. So file is just contents, whereas folder is. So you can think of this as a file, but where you're keeping it in a cabinet, that's a folder.
Oh, keep it in.
Yes. Okay. So how many things we discussed today? We discussed file, and then file types, and then folder, and then number 4 is file screening, quotas. Quotas are of two types, soft quota and hard quota. And then we have server for NFS, only to provide folder access to Unix and Linux server, non-Microsoft server. Then branch cache, which is used to give faster access for the branch user so that they can access the folder. And number 8 is file classification. File classification, this option is used to classify files based on different department or organization requirements, meaning maybe a confidential. If I put a confidential and put it here, confidential file, I classified it basically. So classified is this. File screening is that I'm going to write here on top of the file that please do not put personal documents. So if you put a note here, you're basically screening it. You don't want people personal stuff. That is called screening. And quota is, do not put in, let's say, more than 500 pages in this. So quota. So quota is, if I say, okay, 500 pages are done, then done. I can't put anything else. This is, I applied quota on this. And then you have branch cache. Branch cache is, provide a temporary copy to the branch users. Classification, we already know, put as a confidential. Whereas file access auditing, who touched the folder, who opened it, and who deleted something from the folder.
How about the Cisco? Cannot be part of the NFS?
Cisco?
Yeah.
No, Cisco is different. Cisco, they have different ISOs. Although they are Unix-like, but they are different on the networking side. Unix and Linux are servers. They are considered as servers just like Microsoft servers. But they are totally different family. This is different family.
So the Google has the the drive share, the data sharing on the Google, right? When you're doing a sharing on the Google Drive, it also shows that whoever deleted and whoever.
That is called file auditing. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That is called file auditing.
So you think they have given a permission to the particular folder?
Hmm?
You think they have given a permission to the particular?
Oh, for
folder?
sure, for sure. Yeah, first of all, you're the owner of those folders. So they have given all the permission to you when you create a folder. And then you can set up other access, yes.
In file classification, it says there confidential. How about private?
Yes, that is classification too, for sure. You can say a private is also a classification. Okay, and we'll quickly go through this, and